When I look around me and find myself alone, I sigh for you again, little sigh and vain sigh which will not bring you home. I need you more and more, and the great world grows wider. Every day you stay away. I miss you. My biggest heart, my own, goes wandering round and calls for Susie. Susie, forgive me, darling, for every word I say, my heart is full of you. Yet when I seek to say to you something not for the world, words fail me. I shall grow more and more impatient until that dear day comes, for till now I have only mourned for you. Now I begin to hope for you. Emily Dickinson wrote frequently to a woman by the name of Susie Gilbert. She spoke of her hopes, her affections, her irrevocable desires for a woman she knew she could not have openly. Now, farewell, Susie, she wrote. I shall add a kiss, shyly, lest there is somebody there. Don't let them see, will you, Susie? We all know Emily Dickinson for her poetry, her stories, her classic voice that only gets better and better with age, yet not everyone knows about her true muse, the woman behind the meaning of her poetry. Like with many great historical artists we learn about in school, the curriculum somehow manages to neglect in teaching the reason these artists stand uniquely against all others. We are all familiar with the forbidden love trope, but when it is your entire life, your entire existence, you yourself are forbidden, it becomes less of a trope and more of a secret and heavy burden people will only deign to acknowledge after you're long gone. Or so was the case with Emily. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Neverland Book Club. June is almost over, but it is not too late to celebrate Pride. Today I wanted to discuss with you all some of my favorite LGBTQ+ stories I've read in the past, as well as some authors and stories I intend to read. These recommendations come not only with representation at the forefront, but also with exceptional writing and beyond memorable characters as well. Before we get started though, a small announcement about the Etsy shop. We will be posting a whole video explaining what's going on with merch, but for now Etsy has proven less cooperative as we had liked and have withdrawn from the platform until we can get our own merch shop up and running. As I said, we'll explain everything in an upcoming video, so stay tuned. Click the bell. Okay, now let's dive into my top 5 Pride recommendations. For these, I'm sure you've heard me speak about them here in previous videos before, but it doesn't hurt to remind you of a few of these titles, so here we go. First, we have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. You'll find McQuiston frequently on these lists, be it mine or anyone else's when it comes to Pride recommendations. That is for good reason. McQuiston is one of the more talented authors when it comes to bringing relatable and memorable characters to life with outstanding wit, along with heart-wrenching plot. One Last Stop is a contemporary romance with elements of science fiction, a story of 2 young women who meet on a train. Now, I am no stranger to romances that spark on a train, but this one is a bit different. When our main protagonist, August, finds a mysterious and impossible girl named Jane on the Q train in New York City, it seems as though this lost girl had been plucked out of time from the 1970s. Not only that, August never fails to find Jane on this train, and can't seem to get her to leave the Q line. Very curious indeed. August is taken by the mysterious girl, and it becomes her life's mission to figure out the complexities of her existence as well as a way to help her find her way home, despite what it may do to her heart. Now, this wasn't my favorite read of McQuiston's so far, but it was fun nonetheless. 3.5 stars. Next, we have Sputnik Sweetheart. You all saw me read this in one day in a previous vlog. Haruki Murakami will always write misplaced women, but he also has a knack for writing love in unconventional ways. Love is not always as simple as lust or flesh or adoration. It can sometimes just be in the way one smells, the way they wear their hair, the sound of their voice, that can resonate with you in a way you may not completely understand. Though the story is mostly told from the perspective of an outsider, a heterosexual male, it is undeniably about these 2 extraordinary women, one with an overwhelming affection for the other, and the other with an overwhelming lack of desire for anyone. This is a complex and captivating story that is so short it can definitely be finished in one day. A Murakami snack. 4 stars. Next, we have Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. We have all read this one by now, I'm sure, but if you haven't, I highly recommend you do. The Greek story of Achilles is redefined in this romantic tragedy, again with the misrepresentation of historical figures to wash the history books clean of the truth, be it speculative truth or otherwise. Song of Achilles tells the life story from childhood to death of Achilles, told through the eyes of his life's love, Patroclus. A banished prince found in the good graces of the proverbial warrior, their childhoods align and their journey together discovering each other as well as themselves begins. We see their relationship blossom from friendship to something beyond just belonging to one another. Devotion and loyalty that transcends the planes of this existence. Madeline Miller does so well to paint the historical portrait of a warrior and who he was truly fighting for, what he was truly fighting for. In so many words, Miller's prose beautifully depicted the innocence of first love and friendship. 4.7 stars. It did make me cry, but I still wouldn't change a thing. Next, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. You all know how I feel about this one. I've mentioned it time and time again. This book isn't exactly meant to represent the LGBTQ+ community. I think it's more tailored towards the understanding of mental health and the ugly truth of humanity. However, the concept and understanding of love in this novel is paramount to the plot. As I've said before, I don't recommend this book to all readers. It is something that should be walked slowly into with great caution due to many trigger warnings and graphic scenes. Reader's discretion is very much advised. However, if you do intend on reading this, please do so with an open mind, knowing that the most important thing you can be in this world is kind. This one did make me cry, but not because of romance. There is no romance. Actually, I'd like to get that straight. This is not a romance novel. This is literally fiction with very real elements that should not be taken lightly. The love in this novel is not romantic. Not all of it, at least. Some of it is deceiving, ugly, mistaken, abusive, and on the other side of that spectrum, some of it is steeped in friendship, understanding, loyalty, and found family. All kinds of love in this novel. Good and very, very bad. But none of it, I personally would say, is romantic. 5 stars. Just be careful. Alright, now a little lighter tone. We have another Casey McQuiston title, Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is the original Pride contemporary romance novel, I feel. I made a full review on this particular title way back when we were first starting out on this channel, and I love it now just as much as I did then. Then I had read it twice just to revisit the characters I still think about to this day. Not only does this represent the LGBTQ+ community, it also speaks greatly to the social and political aspects of what it means to be outside the norm in Western society. The son of the female president of the United States falls in love with a prince of England. Have you ever heard of a more interesting tagline that would have TMZ just foaming at the mouth if it were true? This novel is cute, witty, fun, sexy, clever, heartbreaking. Did I mention sexy? This particular title is, so far, my favorite novel from McQuiston. I definitely intend to read more, which we will talk about shortly, but so far, this one is my favorite. 4.7 stars. It was good, but it didn't make me hurt. I needed to hurt a bit for that full 5 stars. You know how much I love the misery porn. Which brings me to another novel I did a full review on way back in the beginning before Pablo and I were even married, and I was still in my apartment using my roommate's bookshelf for a set. They Both Die in the End by Adam Silvera. Look at me. Look at me. Look at my face. You see what this book did to me? I said it then and I'll say it again. I knew what this book was before I dove into it. You know, by the title. He warns you before you even begin. They both die in the end. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for the warning. But even though I was fully warned, I still, for some reason, had hope. I still lied to myself, tried to make myself feel better as I was reading and falling for these characters and their quirks. I can still remember their last day together, their goals and failings for that day, and the unrelenting, haunting knowledge that I will never know if their last day was their last because they found each other or despite it. I'll never know. And that hurts. Every time I think about it, it hurts. This book is one of those one-day timeline stories that you can't help but reimagine over and over in your head and wonder if the characters had taken just a moment before stepping off that curb. Would anything really be that different? If you know, you know. 2 boys meet on their final day on Earth and are robbed of a lifetime together they would have had if given the chance. But that's the thing, isn't it? How are we supposed to know when a chance is being presented? How are we supposed to read the signs given to us if we're stuck looking at our feet? 5 stars. This brought the hurt. 5 stars. Okay, and last on our list, another title that brings the hurt. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I get way too invested in characters, and yes, that is my fault for tethering my mental health to fictional characters, but beside the point, I was hooked on this story from the dedication line. I hadn't even read the first line of the book yet, and I was already all in. For Lila, smash the patriarchy, sweetheart. Now, since I recently spoke about this particular novel and plan to someday bring back full reviews on this channel, I won't go too in-depth about the story, but just know, Taylor Jenkins Reid has become one of my favorite authors with this story, and I intend to read everything she has ever written. Because goddamn, she knows how to weave a good plot with an unexpected ending and remarkably complex and nuanced characters fighting for their right to stand in the spotlight of the reader's memory. Evelyn Hugo truly feels like a real person to me, and that may mean I need more therapy than I thought, but regardless of my own mental instability, this story felt like meeting a real-life person that walked this earth in the most iconic emerald green you'll ever lay your eyes on. And I've never even seen her face. You see what books can do? Magic or drugs, because you're hallucinating. One of the most memorable things about this novel is the article in the end, and I'll paraphrase it slightly here for context. Evelyn wanted you to know her story because over the course of her life, she became aware of her responsibility to others in the LGBTQ+ community to be visible, to be seen. But more than anything, she wanted you to know this because it was the very core of herself, the most honest and real thing about her. That's all I'll say here because I don't want to spoil too much, but this book made me cry on multiple occasions for different reasons, but what made that ache in my heart shatter was that last line. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stars. All the stars, please, just read it. Okay, that wraps up my personal list based on books I've already read. Now let's dive into my LGBTQ+ TBR. All the letters. Which are not in any particular order. Some of these I have had on my TBR for some time, and some I found while researching a bit for this video. All, however, are definitely getting bumped to higher priority on the list. First, we have Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman? For obvious reasons. The popularity of this story since it won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay in 2018, as well as its nominations in the same year for Best Motion Picture and Best Performance for Timothée Chalamet, has been insurmountable. And it still shocks me that I haven't gotten any spoilers from all of the publicity of the story, since I have still yet to see the film because I've truly been wanting to read the novel first. A quick Goodreads description of the novel has me... Oh wait, does that say free with unlimited Kindle subscription? Hold on. Where's my phone? Let me just boop boop. Okay, download it. Beep beep boop bop. Beep boop bop bop. I know what I'm reading in the storage room at work tomorrow. A forbidden romance between a young boy and a guest at his parents' Italian mansion. All the vibes in this description are screaming out to me. I'll keep you posted. I honestly hope it's not overhyped. Next we have Iron Widow by Jiren J. Zhao. This is a YA fantasy with world-building elements and rich cultural history. I see the story also has giant mecha robots and deadly female pilot characters. I'm very much in. Yes, please. Next, What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. That name right there has me sold. A YA contemporary romance about a Broadway dreamer and a glass half-empty realist. This gives me Grumpy Sunshine vibes and I'm here for it. The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. The uniqueness of the story is what had me dragging it into the cart. Into my cart. Dragging it into a cart. Another contemporary romance revolving around the not-so-ordinary lives of two young boys with NASA-working families? Astro Kids, as the description calls them. That just makes me think of Astro Vans. Does anyone remember those? No? Never mind. Sold on an Astro Van. Next we have You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwake Emezi. Not only did the title grab me on this one, but the cover art as well. Just stunning. This sounds like a finding yourself after grief type of story, and whether it's steeped in sunshine or darkness, I am here for the ride. Next, we have I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. This would be my third read of McQuiston's, and I have heard very good things about this title. Mostly readers saying this is the best one yet, so I am very excited to read yet another of McQuiston's stories. The description also gives me Murakami vibes, since apparently a girl goes missing. I need to know more. Alright, and last on this long list of books we've talked about today is Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. This one is described as a fantasy historical fiction with witches and lesbian representation. I love all of those words individually, put together to describe a book, and I am beyond sold. Now, these titles I've shared with you all today are not exactly on my monthly definites list, as are the ones I share with you at the beginning of each month. However, since researching them more for the sake of this video, as I've said, they've definitely been bumped up in line, so I apologize in advance if I repeat some of these titles in upcoming videos. I'm just excited about them. And I like sharing things I'm excited about with you good people. I was on a boat yesterday. I was excited about it. Please feel free to leave your Pride recommendations in the comments down below. My TBR list needs no lengthening, but I'll take them nonetheless. Also, it's important to note that yes, although it is a topic of discussion this month, Pride is something that should be celebrated and talked about throughout the year, no matter the demographic. That is why these stories are so important, not only for representation, but for understanding. Being a heterosexual presenting woman married to a man, I would never be exposed to such relationships as those presented in these stories. However, reading about them, being in the mindset of those who do experience love in all ways, enlightens the reader in a way that you just don't get with other mediums. So, with that said, I recommend all of the books discussed today. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you're not. Our little channel is growing like our never-ending TBR, and I thank you all for being here. Also, be sure to be on the lookout for the merch shop coming soon. Feel free to follow us on Instagram for more day-to-day updates. All of the books we discussed today are linked down below, and if you do purchase them through that link, it does help in supporting the channel, so I thank you for that as well. Today's shout out goes to Catherine Marquez. We are also glad to be feeling better. Thank you so much for your well wishes. We do intend on live streaming more often. We're hopefully aiming for once a week. Be sure to click that bell to be notified once we go live. Alright, I'm off to go take the advice of my last video into account and try to read through these as fast as possible just to have more to talk to you all good people about. As Emily says to her beloved Susie, I say to all of my books, amputate my freckled bosom, make me bearded like a man. Wait. That's the wrong one. Oh. I need her. I must have her. Oh, give her to me. Yes, that's the one. All right. Stay lost, keep reading. Happy Pride Month. Love is love is love is love. Goodbye.